let's get started. All right, so the movie that we watched today was, if we can call it a movie.
Yeah, it was more of a musical theater.
Yeah, was Hamilton.
Yeah.
Of course, 4th of July coming on Disney Plus and everything. So, I actually have quite a bit of things to say about this.
There is a lot to talk about.
So let's just go with, I guess, broad overviews. For anyone who doesn't, anyone who hasn't seen this, like, it's just basically the retelling of Alexander Hamilton with through hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no spoken words, I think, except for the beginning.
Yeah, there are some points, but not very many. It's mainly done through music.
So yeah, and I'm gonna say that I knew going into this that this was a well-revered like stage production.
Yeah.
And I knew it was gonna be good. I knew I was gonna probably like it, but I didn't realize how much I was actually gonna like it.
Yeah, I kind of went into this, first off, it gives the, how long it's going to be on Disney Plus, like 2 hours and 40 minutes. I looked at that and like, oh my god, this is going to be a long ordeal.
I almost didn't put it on.
Yeah. And then I made fun of you, like, oh, you want to watch Hamilton? Oh, you don't want to watch it? And then you put it on out of spite, and it was a great decision.
Yeah.
On both of our parts, you to put it on, me to make fun of you.
Yeah, well, what happened was you led to it being put on.
Exactly.
By pushing the buttons enough.
By poking the bear.
Yeah, so first and foremost, like, I guess it's easier for me to kind of, like, break it down into halves, because while I think that there was a lot stronger parts in the second half, with the rap battles and the nice little appearance of King George and everything like that.
Honestly, my favorite part of the whole production.
Best part of the whole thing. I loved every moment that he was on, and like I loved it because it seemed he loved every moment that he was on. And but even though I think that there were better moments in the second half, I think I liked the first half better. With the Revolutionary War, there was really no slow moments.
Yeah.
In the first half. And
there weren't really, to me, any slow moments during any point of it. Like the build up, I remember was a little bit slow. I told you, as I said to you when we were watching this, is that, like, I have a feeling this is going to be underappreciated on my part because I'm not a really big musical theater person, and it's just gonna go over my head, and I'm glad that even a layman like me had a lot of joy in this. I think this was also starring the writer.
Yeah, I think Lin Miguel Manuel.
I think so. And he did a phenomenal job with it. After this, I'm gonna look up how this production got made, because one thing I thought they brought up during the musical towards the end is that every founding father got their moment in the spotlight, but no one really knows about Hamilton. Now he's probably one of the biggest well-known founding fathers out there, but I kind of want to know, like, the steps he took. Like, how did he become so passionate about Alexander Hamilton to the point where he wrote an entire nearly 3-hour musical about him?
Yeah, and like not just like basically a love letter to Alexander Hamilton, but just a phenomenal love letter. Like I couldn't even begin to think about trying to memorize some of these lyrics because they come at you so fast, and like some of them I was like I heard briefly, but by the time some of them registered, I was like, all right, we're already moving on to.
Yeah, I know it comes in fast and it hits you hard, but it's enjoyable the entire time.
It's like I think that because I remember we were talking about a little bit of slow moments, and there were a few slower moments. Like there was never a moment where I was disengaged. There was never a moment where I was not entertained. Mm-hmm. But I remember there was a song towards the end that the wife was singing, about the affair and everything. That that was the kind of moment where I was like, all right, maybe I just don't like the slow songs as much as the fast one. But then I remembered the George Washington song where he was talking about. I'm like, man, I love that song. I thought that was like fantastic, where he was talking about how to say goodbye and everything like that.
Yeah, very heartfelt song, regarding George Washington. And you think about American history, and you don't really think, a rap musical.
Yeah.
But they kind of breathed new life into the history of this of the American Revolution and everything.
I was gonna say it's like they knew, it's like he knew, like from the outset, what he wanted to accomplish, and he accomplished it with like just such flair and ease. Like I remember I was saying that like Jefferson, coming in, like I remember you said when he first came in, that it was like, this guy's just like Prince, it's like he was such a presence, and all the actors, it's a shame that I don't know any of them, but like they all did their part and they all did it so well, and I really, I really like that. Like this is something that I will probably I'll probably break out every now and again. I can't say I'm gonna watch it all the time, but I'll probably break it out every now and again. Just be like, I'm gonna watch it again. I think more likely I'll just put on like the songs that I really remember from YouTube. Like the running out of time song and everything like that. I'm like, or the rap battles. I'll probably put those up more than anything else. And of course, King George.
Yeah. I can see maybe. I can see myself turning this on, every 4th of July, just as a tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't think of a better movie to watch on 4th of July,
other than Independence Day.
Oh yeah, of course.
We'll have to do that next year.
Oh, we'll do both.
Yeah.
They should make an Independence Day hip hopper. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Independence Day musical.
Yeah. It's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Please
go ahead.
We kind of came up with that idea. Like, I gave you the virus.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. We wanted to do a whole thing with it on Minecraft.
Yeah.
But and then we were like, man, that's gonna be a lot of work.
A lot of work. We have to write an entire.
It's like I'm not a musical writer by any stretch of imagination. Like I think my musical skills just extend to. Actually, no, I have no musical skills.
I didn't want to interrupt.
I know you're waiting. You're like, all right, I want to hear his musical skills.
All right, let's see what he's gonna say here.
Because I want to crap all over it.
We all know about your dancing skills.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm a great dancer.
Your father thought so too.
I'm gonna say that it's kind of interesting if you think that for at least a portion of this production, of this play, for a portion of Hamilton, the play 1776 was also going on somewhere in the same universe. It's the same musical universe. So yeah, these two plays have to be going on like simultaneously at some time.
Was 1776 originally a stage production?
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
it was.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. At least I hope it was. That would be weird if it was like they just said, you know what, we're gonna make a movie musical about the year 1776.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a stage production, they probably didn't get any of the original actors back, like
Mr. Feeney.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Feeney was on stage, dancing and singing and everything.
No, probably not. And I do wonder if Hamilton was nearly as big, or if 1776 was nearly as big as Alexander, as the Hamilton musical.
I can't imagine. I remember we were talking about that. This was probably one of the most talked about like plays, or theater productions in decades.
Yeah,
I remember we were talking about the last one that we can kind of even remember that wasn't even in our time was Cats.
Well, I have come up with another one. I think Rent was pretty big for a while.
I'll give it that.
And
I think Stomp might have been pretty good. Not as big as this, but I think Stomp was pretty popular.
I don't know if that's a musical or more of like
an experience.
And, like kind of like the Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
And but even Rent, I don't think was as big as Hamilton. Like Hamilton, I don't think. Then again, I don't know any songs from Rent, but
I know that the first line of the first song, the like the 2,400,800 minutes. I don't know. I actually don't know the words, so I was hesitant to sing it. So so I guess that just shows how much I know about Rent.
Was there any any songs that were kind of featured mainstream on radio? Because I have heard some some Hamilton songs, broadcast. Raise your glass to freedom, or is it to freedom or for? Raise your glass.
Yeah.
That raise your glass. I've heard that just on the radio.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say I don't think I've ever heard a Rent song on the radio. Of course I could. I just wouldn't know it because I've never seen it yet. But I have heard. I remember I was listening to like music on like Echo or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just playing like a random mix, and they played that Running Out of Time song.
Okay.
So when it came on, I was like, oh, I remember this song, and I remember even listening to it when it was on there and thinking, wow, actually sounds pretty cool. Like, this sounds like something I might enjoy. I'd like to see this, but what are the odds that's going to happen? It's not like it's ever going to come, to a streaming service or something.
Yeah. And I think Cats. What was Memories? I think Memories was from Cats.
Which I don't think I've ever heard this song, but I know of the song.
Yeah.
And I know Rum Tum Tugger. That's I think all I know about Cats.
A Rum Tum Tugger sounds like something you pay for.
I always said my apocalypse name. Like if like the zombie apocalypse ever happens, I already came up with that. Like I just want to walk around and be known as Rum Tum Tugger because I think it'll just confuse people enough. But now that the Cats movie came out, I don't know. I might have to reevaluate that.
Yeah, I kind of imagine like a Mad Max scenario where it's just a bunch of dirty people, dressed in leather, and it's like you're gonna see the Rum Tum Tugger, and they go into this shamble of a building that was some old government institution, and they go through like guards after guards and open doors, and there you are in your Cat's costume.
You see, I was thinking of something similar but different, where I just want my Rum Tum Tugger status to be like something of legend. Like I want there to be like very few like people who've actually met Rum Tum Tugger to the point where they think that I don't exist. And of course, I would, the real me, like the Rum Tum Tugger, I would like just kind of pretend and pal around like I'm one of the guards every now and again.
You're like waiting for Godot.
Yeah. I'm like the guard in front of there wearing like a big green hat. Like no one gets to see the Tugger. Not nobody, not no how.
How'd he get the name?
Like, oh man. Like, does anyone know what Rum Tum Tugger even looks like?
I heard he has a peg leg and a missing eye.
I heard that he's 8 foot tall and made of solid silver.
I heard he eats trees for breakfast.
I heard it was bushes for breakfast.
I heard he has a big nose. Get out of here!
Rum Tum Tugger doesn't have a big nose. Get out of here. That's silly.
That was you that said that?
Yeah, that was me as a guard. Rum Tum Tugger, get out of here. You don't know anything about Rum Tum Tugger. He's a nice guy. Go on.
Though I imagine you're wearing your cat suit when you say that. I imagine you're dressed like Cat Mario.
Well, here's the thing. I'm wearing the cat suit underneath the guard outfit. Like, the cat ears are covered by the big green, furry hat that the guards wear, that I'm going to wear as a guard. So, yeah, I'm just going to be walking around looking like that. They're like, who's this asshole? I guess I'm on the front line, so I'm just guarding myself, and I'm not even in. I show him to the chamber, like, take a seat and Rum Tum Tugger will be here soon. And I just run out, just like throw off the coat and like sweat a little bit, grab my smoking jacket and grab over the cat suit and a snifter of like port or something.
I imagine a Mrs. Doubtfire like scenario where you have to change in between these two characters.
I demand to speak to the guard again. I'll go summon him. Yes, sir. And like my hat's crooked and one of my ears are hanging out. Yes, sir. What can I do for you? Well, can I get a glass of water while I'm talking to Rum Tum Tugger? I'm serving him as I'm also like, I guess, hosting him.
I imagine eventually you just get frustrated. You wear the suit half on, half off, and you just turn to the side every once in a while.
After a while, I just give up the ghost and stab the guy. Like, there will be no peace. There will be no peace between the warriors and Rum Tum Tugger. Like, everybody in my faction, everybody in the entire Rum Tum Tugger, like, kingdom is just me in different thing.
It's a population of like 12,000, but like no one's ever like seen more than one more than one person around. Yeah. You just have a massive collection of hats.
And it's like, man, like I can't believe that. And like once it starts rolling, I can't stop. Like I can't just stop and give up what I'm doing, because then people will find out, and I'll be branded as some sort of like
loony.
Yeah, so like, man, I gotta keep this going. I'm old and gray, but I'm still trying to put on the hats and everything. I'm pinning them to my hair so they don't fall off.
Like you have hats under hats, in order to pull off the charade. Like
Bartholomew Cubbins or whatever it is, the Dr. Seuss guy.
And I imagine it's just more of a legend than anything, and that really kind of sells it, because
it has to be, because me running around putting on different hats isn't going to do it on its own. Like I'm gonna have to do I'm gonna have to rely solely on like just kind of people knowing of me instead of knowing me, and I have to keep my like interactions to a minimum. Every now and again, me as a guard will go out and get like meat or whatever for the rest of the kingdom, but because I have to get so much meat in surplus, a lot of it goes rotten, and but I have to keep up appearances. Rum Tum Tugger, I hear he's nothing but rotten meat for the rest of his kingdom.
You can smell it. You can smell it from here.
Rules with an iron claw, he does.
Rum Tum Tugger.
That's gonna be my backup plan if the zombie apocalypse ever happens, and then the regular apocalypse kills the zombies.
I guess if there's zombies, you could just just dress a bunch of zombies in your hats, and that'll be your kingdom.
Well, I don't want guards to eat me.
You pull out their teeth.
Yeah, and their fingernails so they can't scratch me. You know what? That's not a bad idea. I think they did that in The Walking Dead, where Michonne, she would carry two zombies behind her with their teeth pulled out, and their fingernails pulled out, so that they would offer protection for her.
Oh, really?
From other zombies. And also from other people, but they would never be able to attack her. It was kind of interesting. Like, that's how I would do it, I guess. I would just have a whole kingdom of just toothless people.
Would would the zombies fight for her, or would it just help her blend in?
I think it was a little bit of blending in and keeping people at a distance. Because
I would probably use them wrong. I would probably use them as beasts of burden.
they're you put a little human hand in front of them, so they like a carrot, so it carries the ox cart that you have, that you're just kind of laying in, or the rickshaw.
Hey, I don't really need to put it I'm the human hand. They just follow me because they're hungry.
Just have it dangling out there. Oh, please go. That'd be a dangerous thing, trying to get the teeth out. You'd have to be very careful with that. I don't think zombies. You don't
have to be careful. You just. I don't know how you would do it.
I guess I would start with a human, and then rip his teeth and fingernails out, and then kill him, and have him turn into a zombie. I guess that'd be the safest way to do it.
I'd feel bad for that person, but
that's life, Rum Tum Tugger must be appeased.
I guess another thing that's not really answered is, do tranquilizer darts work on zombies?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think because they're undead. I think all that brain activity has ceased.
Yeah.
So there's no need for sleeping. There's no need. I mean, I think the only thing that they described in the show was a certain section of their brain was reignited to the point where they're constantly feeling hunger. Mm-hmm. So that's why they're always feasting on people. I guess feast maybe isn't the nicest word, because it makes it sound very ornate.
Yeah,
they're wearing hats and fancy coats.
There's just some doughy guy on the table with the apple in his mouth.
And he's still alive, of course. His eyes are looking at her.
Yes, those I don't know what they are. Those little booties that they put on chickens. Yeah. He has those on his feet.
He's got but they are really booties, from his childhood. and the zombies are just laughing and tinkling the glasses together.
It's like the end of the Grinch movie. Or the person.
It's the zombies have their own like holiday jubilee.
Yeah.
What are they celebrating? Arbor Day. No, not holiday. It's too obvious.
Zombie Hanukkah.
Well, there's already a Hanukkah zombie, so I guess that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the from Futurama. I forgot about the Hanukkah zombie.
Yeah. Fun fact: Mark Hamill.
Yep.
Always Mark Hamill. I think I remember that like when I found that out. It was probably when the Bender's Big Score movie came out, which was I think like 2007 or 2000. No, it was 2008 because it was.
Oh wow, was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was right when I got out of the Air Force.
Crap.
And it was I think the last movie I bought while I was still in the Air Force, and I watched it a lot. I loved it. You know, I watched it again and again. And I'd order cheesy bread from Domino's. That was my routine. I would just do that, and I don't know how I got fat, but I did. But nothing but cheesy bread and just watching Bender's Big Score. And I remember when the song came on that he got to sing for. I saw the credits that I saw was Mark Hamill, and I was like, wow, that's crazy because I always thought of him as Luke Skywalker, and it wasn't until like more recently that I kind of developed a better appreciation for him.
Yeah, he does a lot of voice work.
He was, of course, I know we mentioned this before, but he was the scientist in the Dark Crystal.
Yes, yeah, the recent one.
Yep, he was the Skeksis scientist.
Yep. And you did a good job with that.
Of course.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know the Chamberlain was Simon Pegg.
Yeah. That was another thing that I kind of, that we found out. I was like, there's no way. I mean, he does a great job on it.
Yeah, like it sounded almost exactly like the original Chamberlain.
Yeah, and apparently it wasn't Frank Oz who did the voice of Magra or Algra.
Oh, it wasn't?
Either of them. No, he just did the puppet work.
Ah.
So I was 100. It was definitely this old lady, like, I don't know, Bella Reese. I don't know who it was.
Just some old lady.
Just an old lady who had a cool voice.
And they found another lady that sounded almost just like her, because I thought they were the same.
Oh, they weren't? I guess not. I guess if you're an old lady in the 80s, you're probably not gonna be an old lady in the 2020s.
Like at least with that same vim and vigor.
Yeah. They had to actually film her. It took 8 hours to film her entire to film like one sentence, and then they just sped it up in post.
It's like listening to a whale song.
Like, man, she always gives us a good performance every single time.
Oh man,
Alger, whatever.
Alger, and no, I'm excited for the second season of that.
Yeah, I hope. I don't see why there wouldn't be a second season of it.
I don't know. Was it? I would imagine it was well received.
Yeah, it was very popular for a while.
Oh, good.
Like people talked about it for like a month, and then they just dropped it, and I kind of feel salty about that. Like,
well, a virus happened.
Well, no, because this was last year we watched it. We watched it in.
Was it that long?
Yeah, we watched it a year ago.
Crap.
We watched it in the summertime. No, we watched it right before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I think it came out probably.
It came out in August.
Summer, yeah, August.
So yeah, it's been almost a year since it came out.
And I can imagine it'll probably take 2 years or something before we get the next season. Because it probably takes a while. Yeah,
with all the puppetry. 'Cause that was the one thing about the Dark Crystal show is that some of the puppetry was done so well that you kind of forget that they were puppets.
Mm-hmm. And I like that they try to push the boundaries a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You have like Muppet Dick and everything like that. They have,
that's not been confirmed.
I looked like a Muppet Dick, but of course I know Muppet Dicks have 3 holes apparently.
Apparently,
because a guy peed in 3 different, like a flute, I guess. Like, they put a bunch of water in a flute and just blow into it. It just blows out everywhere. That's what Skeksis dicks are like.
It's like a.
Like, imagine you have to like unfold something to get to it.
They have a cloaca?
Yeah.
Or like a crocodile.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Crocodile's always trying to get your essence.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Try up by stone.
we need a trial by stone.
Like, if there's not a trial by stone somewhere in the second season, that's kind of a letdown.
Yeah, I know.
Because that stone's kind of well worn, you know what I mean? By the time they get to it.
Yeah, like that stone had a lot of trials behind it.
Yeah, there was precedent behind this trial by stone.
I wish all debates were settled with trial by stone.
Oh, I think that, I don't know how trial by stone really works, because, again, this was the first time the stone got broken, so it's just like everyone was more impressed by one side of the stone being hurt.
I guess if you break the stone, like, you can't really...
Well, if you break the stone, you're the emperor.
Yeah, like, if you break the stone, it's an automatic checkmate. It's an automatic win, but... I guess we saw... It's like seeing the thrill in Manila and then expecting all boxing matches to be that good.
Yeah, because it's like there were many trials by stone before then, but that was the same stone. I mean, we saw the last trial by stone.
At least until they got the new stone.
Maybe it was just a giant piece, like a salt lick. It was a lot easier to break through. I imagine that. Like, maybe if you chunk a piece off, wherever's got, like, the biggest chunk of the trial, of stone.
That makes sense, or has the biggest, flash of sparks.
Yeah, so imagine, just a regular court case, with a trial by stone. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
You don't need a jury anymore.
Well, that's how you solve a hung jury dilemma. You have trial by stone between the prosecutor and the defendant.
I was thinking more, they do the trial by stone, but the jury gets to decide who had the better stone.
Oh, of course, the jury decides.
Yeah, they go in the back like, I think that William had the better hit. Yeah, but we need conclusive unanimous, decision here. Yeah. And there's more sparks on Phil's side.
And then there's a smaller stone for the jury if they can't decide.
Yeah, that's the hung jury stone. And then there's subcommittees, there's caucuses for the different for the jury members to go in. Like, all right, well, I think that juror number 4 had a really good hit for the trial by mini stone, but I think juror number 5 had more sparks, so not guilty. Not guilty. Yeah, not guilty.
Do you think the Supreme Court has the biggest stone?
I think that their stone is a monolith. I think that the more they hit it, the more they evolve, so they learn questions.
I want to say the stone that the Supreme Court uses is the Washington Monument. Like, they have the biggest stone to have a trial by. And you wouldn't believe it, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg has got some strength in her. Oh my God!
Like, the way she swings a sword is something to be admired.
Oh yeah, they nearly had to rebuild the monument.
Like, she almost became emperor. My first order of business: no more trial by stone. She's a Skeksis now. Yeah. Once you become emperor, you have to be a Skeksis. That's the rules. They put a crown on her. And, then she just turns into a Muppet.
She does look a little bit like a Skeksis.
I guess at the end of the day, if that's how I had to go, by turning into a Muppet, I think that's how I would want to go. Yeah. Because there's really no, you can't drown. The only thing you have to worry about is fire, and that's a quick death.
I guess. Or being stuffed in a suitcase, like Hoggle from The Labyrinth.
Slowly rotting over time. That'd be awful now I think about it. Being a Muppet's only good if you're the emperor.
Yeah.
If you're like season 5 Kermit from Sesame Street, then it might not be so good. You get sold on eBay, and then you have to sit in some guy's house for a while.
I wonder what they do with the Muppets when they retire them. Do they fold them up like the flag at a military funeral?
I think what happens is here's a fun fact: the only proper way to dispose of a military or the American flag is actually through fire.
Oh yeah.
So that's how I think they do it. I think they burn the Muppets ritualistically.
I forget. I know you burn the flag, but I think there's something. Don't you have to bury the ashes, or there's a little bit more?
Like I said, there's a ritual to it.
Yeah, which no one really does that anymore. No one really. You would think that would be more well known.
Yeah, the common tradition of burning the like the ritualistic burning of the flag.
Yeah.
I've never had to see it in my service. I know that I know that flags have a pretty good shelf life.
Yeah,
so
with modern materials. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's made of plastic now, so it just melts, and you gotta bury the resin.
Yeah, I guess flame retardants kind of prohibit your flag burning.
Like I know a lot of times, like, you know, when people give flags in ceremonies or funerals or anything, they're stuck behind glass, so there's really no danger. Like, they put them in a little plaque. There's no danger of a fire unless, like, the house burns down. And then, you know, more things to worry about, you know.
I remember when I was in the Boy Scouts, we were in a parade once. I don't know what we were in a parade for, but we were just marching in a parade, and I volunteered to hold one of the flags.
Okay.
Like it was the flag of our troop. Okay. And we would rotate because for like a little 8-year-old boy, it was a heavy flagpole. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the rotations I was offered the American flag, and it was the heaviest one of them all.
Of course it was.
And I remember I lost a little bit of balance with it. I didn't fall, but like the tip of the flag, touched the ground. And I remember all the kids in my troop were like, "Oh, now you gotta burn the flag!" Like, oh.
They wanted anarchy immediately. Yeah. The flag has hit the soil. It is time to rise again.
And now that I think about it, like, I don't think the parade watchers would have been that happy if the Boy Scout troop stopped what they were doing to burn the American flag.
Take that, World War II veterans!
You get out of here, you punk!
And like it just turns into Lord of the Flies very quickly. They start painting blood on their eyes and like throwing things at the people in the crowd, and then like the Boy Scouts just take over America.
Yep. The Boy Scouts in the like they don't tell you this. It's a cell. They're just waiting for their activation.
It hit the ground. That's the cue. There's people who have flashbacks from the parade. There are people like there's Boy Scout troops who remember this like 30 years later. They'll be sitting there, and then fireworks will just go off for the 4th of July, and they'll just remember. Troop 114 and the sad November day, the sad Veterans Day that they had.
Like it was such a catastrophe that the government declared that the area has to be preserved as is, so that people can see how the chaos that ensued.
They disbanded the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts were forever disbanded.
They were considered a terrorist organization after that.
And somehow, like, the Girl Scouts got caught up in it, too. Like, they didn't do anything, but they were like, listen, we're just getting rid of everything that has the word Scout in it. We're just getting rid of all of them. It's like, I guess it makes sense because, like, why would they even teach Boy Scouts to drive tanks? I mean, that was a big problem from the get-go.
I got my tank badge.
I know it's a tank badge. There's a marksman tank. There's a marksman badge. There's knife handling. Like, they're just training. They're training you to. There's rocket launcher training.
Like, I don't even know my code word. Like they could just say it over the radio, and you're like, you better watch out.
All right, let's see. Let me just start saying some random code words here. Illinois.
No.
I guess you heard that a lot.
Yeah, I heard that one a lot. That would have caused a lot of problems. Especially for the Boy Scouts in Illinois.
That's why it's an urban legend. There are no Boy Scouts of Illinois because of that.
In fact, there isn't really a state of Illinois.
There was
a legend.
It was taken over by the Boy Scouts. Let's see some other code words it can be. Lampshade. Roger.
No.
Oh well. Oh, what have I done?
Oh man.
It's like it's probably like a long string of things, like in the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah.
Or Civil War rather
just a series of unrelated words.
But
turpentine, magnesium,
glasses,
Forrest
Henderson.
Flores Henderson.
Opium.
The Great Casino.
Focal.
Toodaloo. Dingo?
No, I was actually gonna say the name of our science teacher from 10th grade, but I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we were allowed to just say something.
Probably could, but yeah.
It's probably better to, like, the science teacher who clearly just, like, I didn't learn anything. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that our first science teacher got pregnant, there was no way I would have passed that class. Yeah. Like, actually, I probably would have been a different person today. I would have straightened up and fly right, because I'm like, man, I can't coast my way through this 10th grade science class, because I got like a C- that first semester. Like, I was really on the ropes. I was almost a D. Yeah, and she was like, yeah, I almost gave it. I mean, it was my fault because I was just being a jackass. Like, one of the homework things was, how do you get an ion? And I put, well, you take a lion and you remove the L. And she, like, took me aside. And
but you actually put that as your...
Yes, that was my legitimate answer. And she was like, listen, I think it's very funny that you put that, but you can't expect to pass the class if you use answers like that. I was like, oh yeah? Well, we'll see about that. And then she got, she left from pregnancy.
Yeah.
And here comes our new science teacher, our substitute science teacher for the rest of the year, and just loved us and let us like, oh, whatever Mark and Britton does is absolutely fine by me.
That's kind of... Yeah, how we figured that. I think that was the first time we started riffing movies.
Yeah, that was the first time we met actually in that class. And I remember I hated you.
Yep.
I hated you with a passion because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a nerd too. Like, she passed out these little papers, and I had like, what is something about yourself and everything. And Britton, you were like, I think 3 desks behind me, and everyone passed theirs up, and I saw your answer, which is, I love science. Like, all capitals and underlined with a smiley face in the O. I was like, all right, this guy's going a little bit too far with this. Nobody loves science that much.
I do. I wish I could marry science.
Yeah, well, you can't because she's already married.
She's married to the universe.
But
she'll divorce him soon.
But then I remember we switched around. And because I remember we sat at first alphabetical, and then we moved alphabetical, but the other way. Like, instead of it going like A and then B is right behind A, it became B was sitting to the left of A, and it just kept on going like that. So somehow that led to us sitting literally next to each other.
Sitting next to the person you hate.
Yeah, and then it just, like, we watched that video on mollusks, and we realized, hey, wait a minute. I hate him, he hates me, but together we can make some comedy here. He hates also what I hate, which is me.
And a legend was born.
And, like, I remember that after that mollusks episode, that mollusks tape that we had to watch.
Yeah.
That was it. We were just done. Like, we were buddies.
What came first? Was it the mollusks or Coco?
I think it was mollusks, but it might have been Coco learning sign language. Like, Coco won't kill your people.
Well, it was her dumb paintings.
Yeah.
And that was Coco won't end your people was the title of that one. And who would think that a dumb ape would not know how to make paintings?
Yeah, I know. Like, I remember there was another guy who sat by us and would just enjoy it. Like, I know he tried to remember Tim.
Was it Ken?
No, it was Tim. Ken was there in that class, but he was like, I think he was like 2 rows next to you. But he was always looking over and like one day I'm gonna join their group. I'm gonna be a part of whatever they're talking about. But for then he had to wait.
Yep.
And there was a guy, I remember Tim, and he I know he tried to make a joke every now and again, which was fine. But Tim would just most of the time sit back and laugh at our antics. Mm-hmm. And then I remember we got to do little plays in the class. Like, the teacher just basically just threw us live ammunition, or just threw us softballs and let us knock them out of the park. Like, kept on handing us ammunition.
And that was the thing. Like, she loved us, but any other student that got out of line,
she was strict as hell, and I don't know why.
I don't know why.
We were the most disruptive kids in that class.
You know what? I think we were. It was because we were making it fun for everyone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one would have been paying attention. And, here we were in the back of the class just riffing on these movies and, making these kids engaged. At least that's what I think I think was going on because it appeases my ego.
Yeah, and someone else sneezes, "Hey, shut up, Anna!" And then that'd be that. I remember one time I was reading out loud, and like the letter was J, and I said G instead.
Yeah.
I was reading out loud, it was like LBJ or something. I said or like the president, or it was some letters in a row, and I said G instead of J, and you're like, "That's a G mark!" Like right in the middle, like you shouted that in class, right next to me. Everyone laughed, and so I just kept on. I kept on going on, and I just started misreading every word that I could.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I remember you were like, "That's a G mark," and then
no wonder you did the Barney thing later.
It was payback. It was a long time coming, but I remember, I think the last word, the one I remember misreading because it was about mad cow disease.
Oh yeah.
And so I remember like the last word was like, and the last sentence was something like, and it had a serious effect on the cattle. And I said, and it had a serious effect on the camel. And and she was like, that was the first time she didn't really raise an objection, but she was like, cattle. She corrected me.
Was everyone? I don't remember this. Was everyone else kind of laughing along with you?
Yeah, it was just like kind of like a chuckle, in the class, and because you didn't care, it was just like we were at that point, we had attained the highest rank you could attain.
We were the kings of that class.
Yeah, so we were allowed to do whatever we deigned.
Everyone else were the jesters,
and we were somehow also the jesters.
The jesters ruled the king's court.
I remember one time I was in there and I was singing. I was singing because I was excited. I was gonna get the Pink Floyd The Wall album that day. I was going home, going to Best Buy right after I got home. So I was singing the different songs, and one of the girls behind it didn't know I was singing. She's like, "Who keeps on singing? It's really annoying." And old Britton here, he's like, "Oh, that's Mark. He's he's our special little guy." I was like, I'm gonna get back at you one day.
Oh man!
Once you get a chance to do a Barney impersonation.
Not just that, just all the tall jokes that ensued after that. You'd think after 20 years, you'd run out.
Tall jokes will never go old. I've got even I am surprised sometimes when I make a tall joke. Man, I'm impressed with myself, I still got a lot more in the arsenal there.
No, I remember that one time you gave up tall jokes for Lent.
Oh, that was awful.
And I would just go, every time we were at the supermarket, I would just pick up these tiny skillets and oh, this is a tiny little skillet here, Mark.
And I was just sitting there, I was biting my hands so much that there was blood coming out of it. I was like, "Oh, Mark, would you look at this little skillet? Oh, you find the tiniest things you could. Oh, is this a normal size thing?" So basically, you were making the tall jokes for me, but I couldn't join in. I couldn't enjoy them.
Oh,
and by the time I got done, because there was a lot of times where I would I'd give up something for Lent.
Yeah.
It's and you'd expect that when it got done that I'd want to do it again. Oh man, I can't wait to do it. But a lot of times I'd give up something for Lent, and then I'd just kind of I guess I never really needed that, and kind of give it up. Just kind of lose interest in it. Mm-hmm. Though there were times where even though I can say I'm not really Catholic or Christian or really anything like that, I do still enjoy doing the trying to do some self-betterment or something for Lent, some kind of self-sacrifice, and I do appreciate that. But I remember one time, there were times where, there's got to be a cosmic joke against me, there's got, the universe, or some higher power is definitely, pulling one over on me, because one year, it was 10th grade, I gave up, I used to read nothing but Stephen King books. I'd buy new Stephen King books, and I'd read them, and I had a whole collection of them. One year I was like, I'm going to give up Stephen King, for Lent. And I'm like, that'll be pretty easy.
I guess, it's not. I wouldn't really consider it a vice.
Not really an honorable self-sacrifice, but I was like, let me see.
10th grade.
Yeah, let me see what I can give up. And so then there was one day in class where, the teacher handed out, all right, we're going to read this packet. And it was written by Stephen King. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, well, I can't just like I can't say no. No, I gave this up for Lent. Actually, I probably could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, you probably could.
But I cowed, and then I had 7 years of bad luck after that.
I'm trying to think.
Which I transferred to you.
Yes. Yeah, that's probably when my appendix got bad.
What were you saying?
I'm trying to think of had you said that you gave it up for Lent, would they believe you? Like, yeah, you gave it up for Lent. You gave up reading Stephen King for Lent. Just
honestly.
It's a very specific thing.
I know. But it's like, also, I never really made waves in a class before, so why would I do it on this one thing? Like, he's just trying to see what he can get away with it. I say you double his workload. Give him everything Stephen King that you can.
And it's like, oh, what was the point I was trying to make? Like, oh, he's just trying to get out of doing work.
I remember in like the 6th or 7th grade, we had to pick a book from the library to read, and I wanted to read. I picked out Babe, and I was like, all right, I've never read this and I've never seen the movie, so I was like, hey, is this a good one? I brought up the teacher, was like, is this good? She's like, no, there's a movie about it. I was like, well, I've never seen the movie, and she's like, nah, I don't really think so. I'm like, but you can trust me, I've never seen the movie. She's like, I can't make this example for you. It's too easy for you to kind of, cheat on this one. So you have to pick another book.
Why is it in the library?
So I guess it's not for a book report, just for regular reading. So I was like, all right. I went back and I picked up The Whipping Boy, which I read the previous year in 6th grade class, and I didn't read it. And I basically coasted through it and kind of cheated at it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was like, you know what? Yeah, you learned a lesson that day. Well, actually, no one did, but it made me feel good. It's like, oh, okay. I used to go in there and ask for weird books every now and again. I remember when I tried to ask for Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis when I was in, I think, like the 6th grade. And they're like, we don't carry something like that. Maybe a bigger school carries something like that. I was like, why the fuck are you talking to me like that?
Did they really talk to you like that?
It was kind of there was a little bit of condescension, but all I knew about it was, like, the day before on Jeopardy, it started out with one of the questions was, about it, and like it showed the opening where it's like Gregor woke up as a cockroach. I was like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds like an interesting story about a man turning into a bug and not an allegory for something else. And so I had to wait to read it, and I was disappointed.
Though, getting back to the librarian, it's like, why are you talking down to a person trying to get a Kafka book?
Yeah, trying to get something like above above what they would normally read. Like we don't have Franz Kafka, so maybe you'd like some Dr. Seuss. Would that be better for you? We have Go Dog Go over here. It's like, no, I want to read the Red Badge of Courage. Oh, sorry, we don't have that, but we have the Berenstain Bears in the Civil War.
Sorry, we don't have Origin of a Species here. We have Hop on Pop.
Oh, you want to read To Kill a Mockingbird? Sorry, but we do have Where's Waldo. That's better for you, I think.
Oh, we don't have the Communist Manifesto, but we do have Where the Wild Things Are.
Ooh, hey.
I never actually read Where the Wild Things Are.
Actually, I never did either. I think that they're like in the kid's dream. I think that's the answer to the riddle.
I'm guessing.
It's a riddle, right? Where the wild things are. It's just like there's a question mark, I think. Actually, I don't know.
They're in the book.
Yeah.
That's where the wild things are.
You open the book and there they are.
I found them. Am I done?
Can I stop reading the book now? I want to read Kafka.
Where the wild things are. Page 1. The wild things. Anything else, lady?
You know what? I think maybe this book is too advanced for you. We're gonna get you, Are You My Mother? I think that'll be a little bit better for you.
We'll get you, there's a monster at the end of this book.
It's like, I just bought that recently for Dominic, even though he, it was like a couple years ago, even though he was 16 at the time. I remember, I think I told you a story where, like, I was so, like, enamored. I went to the crack house down the street and, hanging out with my friends, and they were reading the father was reading to the son, the youngest son, Tommy. Yeah. He was reading, there's a monster at the end of the book, and I was like older, so I was pretending not to listen, but I was, hanging out playing Mortal Kombat, but I was definitely listening at the same time. I was like, all right, what are you gonna do when you get to the book here, Elmo? Like, it's coming up quick. Like, you only got a few pages left. So, he was reading the book and he was like, oh, should we turn the page? Yeah, Dad, turn the page. I was like, all right, we're gonna turn the page. And he turned the page and it kept going, and it was fun. He was laughing and giggling, and I found out that Elmo was a monster. I was like, oh, that's very clever. Oh, spoiler alert. And I was like, oh, that's very clever.
It's one of those mirrors. Man is monster.
That's too deep for the kid. Daddy, I don't like this book. I know, but son, it's really profound.
You have to learn this someday.
It's better to learn it now than a little bit later. There are no furry monsters at the end of this book. The monsters are the good people at Random House Publishing.
The monster is the person reading.
The monster is Schuster and Schuster Incorporated. But so the next day I went over there and I wrangled the little kid up. I was like, hey, Tommy, want me to read you a book? So I read him the same book again. And I read it like the same way, like, should I turn the page? Yeah, and he was less interested this time. Don't get me wrong. I think he still put on a little bit of a show. It's like, oh, yeah. Huh. No, the bricks fell. That's good. And then I got to the end like, oh, Elmo was a monster all along. Not the monster. He was a monster all along.
That's kind of funny now that you think about it. Like, kids of that age, like, it is hard for them to lose interest. They are almost fanatically interested.
I know.
Like, when I was a kid, I would watch, like, the same crap every day.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I would rewind, like, the same episodes, like, over and over again of, like, my favorite TV shows I had, like the Power Rangers and everything like that. Even younger than that, I would watch the, I'd have like a Berenstain Bears tape that I'd watch over and over again, or we'd have an episode of The Twilight Zone that we watch around Christmas time. But sometimes I'd just pull it out and watch it, and it would scare the shit out of me because we didn't have a lot of tapes.
What episode of Twilight Zone?
It was actually the 80s Twilight Zone. And it was, I remember it was like on a Christmas tape. It was stuck right between the Garfield Christmas special. Right between the Garfield Christmas special and the Berenstain Bears Christmas tree thing.
What a thing to have in between kids shows.
So the Twilight Zone episode was about this kid who was afraid of his grandmother because he thought she was a witch. And he would like go and like his mother left him, his grandmother was sick and everything. He's like, I gotta go to work, and like he'd go in and like he'd bring the tea for his old grandma, and he spilled the tea and like the floorboards, went in the floorboards, and he opened up and it was a passage to hell. It was like red and people screaming, and he closed it, and then he thought his grandma died, so he was like, oh, she's died, I'm gonna have to tell my mom. He's like, wait, I didn't put a mirror up to her face to see if she was breathing. That's what people usually do, and they'll blame me because I wanted her dead. So he goes up there and she grabs him and eats him. And that's how it ended. And it scared the ever-loving shit out of us. So every Christmas, we wouldn't fast forward it, we would just watch it. Because it was just easier that way. So Christmas had its own little, like, the whole scary ghost stories and tales of the glory. Like, we had our own scary ghost stories that we would tell, or that we would watch.
I wonder if A Christmas Carol is the scary ghost. Which, kind of makes me wonder, was that scary to the people, during the Victorian era?
Like, oh, he's starving. Tiny Tim dies of disease that was preventable. Oh, that could be us.
It was more fear of the situation.
Yeah, instead of the ghosts, like, oh, the debt they've accrued. Look, oh, they don't have enough to feed everybody.
Oh, how will they make it through the winter?
Oh, they got 6 kids and one of them sick.
Tiny Tim did have that he was sick from that general young sick kid syndrome that's in a lot of movies.
Well, to be fair, like, it was a different time, so there probably was a high death rate for young kids.
It was cholera.
Yeah.
Back then it was bad.
Like, if you stubbed your toe wrong, you'd get an infection and that'd be it. You'd be on a cane, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And then you'd be taken before the next Christmas.
It's kind of sad, but that's why a lot of, the families back then had so many kids, so they wouldn't run out.
They're really just playing the odds at that point. It was like, okay, well, I think we got a good healthy number here.
Yeah.
To continue the population.
Which is why the average age back then was so low, because of the infant mortality rate.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I hear that's why, I hear that really if you lived past a certain age, like, you could expect to be 60, 70 years old. But, when they do the statistics, they look at the infant mortality rate is so low because they have to, include the people that died at 2 or 4, what I mean? So it's like, it kind of skewed the results a little bit. And I was like, I'm not saying take them out of the equation, but if you did, you would see that, like, if you lived past a certain age, like, okay, I'm fine, and then you stub your toe, and then that's it. Then you're wearing chains and bitching at old men to give more money to the poor.
Oh, man.
Oh, Scrooge.
It's... What a time.
What a time to be dead. Like, I remember... I never read The Christmas Carol when I was younger. I think I read it, actually... That's a lie. I think I read The Christmas Carol the first time when I was, like, 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I got a copy of the book. I think it was one of those... it just kind of came, like I said last time, I just used to get a bunch of books that would just come in the mail. And then I would just, okay, that's where I got Kazam. And I was like...
There was a Kazam book?
Yeah, I read the Kazam book. So you may have watched it and wasted an hour and a half of your life, but I wasted like 12 hours of my life reading the novelization. It's like, let's green egg and ham it. Okay. But I think one of them was just the Christmas Carol, which I just stuffed in like a pigeonhole for a while. And then I like brought it out one year. I'm like, I want to read it. And I was like, this isn't so bad. It's just like, because I'd never seen the Muppets one at that point.
Yeah.
Actually, the only Christmas Carol I'd ever seen at that point was Scrooged.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I just knew of the story of, all right, there's an old guy, there's Tiny Tim, and, that's it.
I think the first one I saw was the Disney one with Scrooge McDuck.
I'd never seen that one either.
It's pretty good.
I mean, well, I think the first time we watched it was Christmas like 7 years ago. That was the first time we put it on.
And then I think after that was the Honey Nut Cheerios commercial.
Oh yeah,
with Scrooge.
Like, and then he gets the Honey Nut Cheerios and he's like, okay, I guess I'll treat preventable diseases.
I guess I won't be a miser.
And then I remember after I read the Christmas Carol book, I was like, I'm gonna make my own book. That's kind of similar. So I didn't quite get the subtle nuances of Charles Dickens' classic.
Yeah.
So mine was about a guy who liked to eat donuts, and like he would just eat donuts all the time. And it got so bad that his wife left him because
was he Homer Simpson?
He was just like, he wasn't like heavy or anything like that. He was just liked his donuts more than his marriage. It was like if it was a choice, like honey, if you're hanging off a cliff and there's a really good glazed donut or a bear claw, I don't know if I can choose you, honey. So she left him, and then he gets visited by 5 ghosts because I didn't want to be. Yeah, I didn't want to be
2 more than the other book.
I guess technically 1 more than the other book.
Oh,
because Marley was a ghost.
I forgot about them.
And if you count Marley and Marley, then it's just the same.
Yeah.
So I forget what all of them were. Like one of them was the happy ghost, and he was very happy. And every time he said something, it'd be happy, happy, happy. And my character would just shut up, shut up, shut up. And he was like infectiously happy, and then he got sad because he's like, you're gonna die. And then it was like, he's like, I don't care if I die, I like donuts. And then I guess it was a metaphor for addiction.
I guess, yeah.
And then it showed that like a future, where someone was just walking down the street. There was like the ghost of the future or whatever, and someone was just walking down the street. He's like, hey, do you remember the main character? Whatever the guy's name. Hey, do you remember Duncan? No, he was your son. You don't remember him? No. Like, see, you're forgotten by everybody because you eat donuts. And he wakes up and he's like, I don't want to be forgotten. So he stops eating donuts, and I end it with.
It's funny because it reminds me of that dumb thing that kids do to each other when when they're just to annoy another kid. Like, oh, you heard of Britain who?
My son who? Oh, I don't remember giving birth. And like I think the last few lines, like he gets back with his wife because he gives up the donuts, and it's like, and and he lived his life happy with the occasional donut. And I think back, I was like, man, he fell off the wagon. That's what that's the saying. Like he yeah, he doesn't gorge, but like his wife must get nervous every time he goes to town on a cruller. Like, honey, are we doing this again? Like the ghosts come back, like, what are you doing?
How old were you when you wrote this book?
I was 28 years old. No, I think I was like 13 or 14.
Okay. I remember when I was maybe 8 or 9, maybe even 7. I wrote a book about, it was called The Mixed Up Kid.
Okay.
And it was about a deformed kid.
Okay.
Who traveled the world trying to find a doctor to fix him.
Okay, like Mr. X from the Letter People.
Is that what?
That was kind of the story of Mr. X from the Letter People. Like he had a foot where his hand was and a hand where his foot was, and he was like always trying to get it fixed. And I think it was supposed to be a lesson in tolerance or whatever.
I guess. I don't remember that one.
Like, I don't know if that was the ones that we watched, but I definitely remember Mr. X, because that one and the creepy 70 ones were like, that was like X-ray, but I remember Mr. X was, actually I think he was still X-ray, he was just backwards, or just, he had things in places they ought not have been. And on that note, Hamilton.
Phenomenal musical. Highly recommend. If you can set aside some time to watch it, by all means, especially on a patriotic day like this.
Like I went into it thinking it would be good, but I didn't realize that it would be fantastic.
Exactly.
So, all right, that does it. Take it easy.
Toodaloo.
That'll hold a little SOBs.